Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Glad to be recognizing our Houston legend, Beth Wolf. She's a third-generation Houstonian, mother of two, and an icon according to the Houston Business Journal and those in her industry, which is real estate. So let's learn a little bit more about Beth Wolf. Congratulations on being named a Houston legend, which you truly are.
Thank you so much. It is truly an honor.
Well, you have had an extraordinary life. You've contributed in so many ways. Tell us a little bit about your journey as it relates to the success that you have today. What were some of the things that you did along the way to get you where you are today?
Interesting, because, when I went into business in 1974, there was not a lot of opportunity for women. And I always say I was divorced before it was popular, but it was necessary.
Yes.
And I became the sole supporter of my children. So it was a different time. I know today that so many people don't appreciate it. It was only 1974 when women got equal credit.
Yes.
Now, I chose real estate for the time flexibility and the income potential. And it's been an amazing career.
Yes.
When I went to the University of Texas, most of the people went for an MRS.
Yes.
I got a BBA.
Yes.
But I did get married and have children and started to do what was expected of women at the time.
Yes.
So entering the business field at that point in time was challenging. And what I find is that we all face challenges. They may be different, but at each journey, each point in time, there's something that people have to contend with.
Yes.
So as I once told my children, we often can't control the events that affect our life. That was one that was unexpected. Our power comes in the way we react to those events.
Yes.
And so I found along the way, you cannot go through entrepreneurship and being in business, and especially as a woman through all these years, without facing challenges.
But you've been resilient. You have really built a business, as you said, that has been extraordinary when women were either career women or stayed at home, and you managed to do both.
It was really interesting. Then in the 70s, there was no child care. I had latchkey kids before the term was invented.
Yes.
So what I would say is whatever you're faced with, just do your best. Become creative. Also, see the opportunity that's out there. Face the challenges with courage and find a solution. Of course, my motivation, that couldn't have been any better, was to take care of my children. What I found along the way, and many times I felt bad because we were in a neighborhood where the moms were at home, I was at work. But what you find as you go along is that sometimes what you think was not so good turns out to have truly been a benefit. I always wanted to be in business, so in some ways I've achieved my dream.
Yes.
I know when I went to UT, Kay Bailey Hutchison was in my honorary service organization, and she had sort of lived my dream life. And so I was very pleased when I had the opportunity to go when she was installed as a senator. So you find, if you are open and positive and resilient, as you said, that you'll be surprised. It reminds me of Dr. Seuss, the places you can go,
Yes. And you've gone many places, and the full circle of now your children, adults, of course, working in the business with you.
That has been truly amazing to me, and I actually did not encourage either one. Coincidentally, my son studied psychology at LSU, and it happens to have been the best field you could have ever gone into, actually probably for anything, but in particular for real estate. And when he got out of college, he wanted to come work for me. I wanted him to go try working for someone else. So once again, I accepted the fact that he was going to work for me. I knew it was going to be wonderful, it was going to be awful. It ended up being unbelievable. And he has followed in my footsteps, basically. I started giving back to the city in the early 80s because I felt so grateful to be in Houston. We are so full of opportunity. So if you do have a dream, this is a place you can achieve it.
Yes.
I know we had a young person in our office just the other day who's moved here from Park City, Utah. And it's interesting because I have grandchildren who don't want to move to a big city, but she did. And of course, for anything you want to do, we have opportunity.
Yes, all you have to do is, as you said, get out there, work hard, find a solution, talk to people, and I'll tell you, so many people have come to Houston that it's their first city from wherever they were, and they worry about, are they going to get connected? Will the networking be helpful? And we find that over and over, Houstonians say, it doesn't matter where you came from, what are you doing, and how can I help? And we see that. And in your industry, wow, the highs, the lows, and you've survived it all.
I'm grateful. I opened my own company in '78, once again, due to the fact that I didn't like the way the people I was with were conducting business. So I had one sales associate, 375 square feet, and I didn't know. I really didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I had to do it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why I'm such a big believer in the opportunity here. And what I also have found is if you give back, you actually end up getting more than you give.
Yeah.
That's been my
And you've
experience.
done so much, especially with the Houston Association of Realtors and other organizations, whether it's being an officer, a member, and you've said it. All of those things help you connect the dots. And it's a way of, as one of our board members would say, doing good and doing well, all at the same time.
Well, it's been interesting because I found that I was appointed first by Mayor Kathy Whitmire, and that was because I was a woman and they needed someone. It was at that time called the Houston Job Training Partnership Council,
Yes.
now Workforce Houston.
Yes.
I was appointed by Mayor Lanier to the first TERS, which is fascinating. So to be able to see today where they're sort of reimagining what that should look like by Marilyn Brown, I was on the Convention Center Hotel Committee. Again, I was the only woman. There were 6 of us, and we determined that the Hilton Americas had to be built by the city, and the idea was it would be sold in 2007 and 8. However, due to the economy, they still own it.
Yes. Well, what a journey, and certainly from the perspective of an entrepreneur, a lot of sacrifices that you had to make along the way. People see the successful Beth Wolf that we all know, but certainly you made a lot of sacrifices. And as you look back today, what would you encourage, especially entrepreneurs, to be aware of?
Just that if you are, first, you really need to have a passion for what you do. And that makes all the difference. Like people ask me why I'm not retiring. I love what I do. And even though both my children are now in the business, as long as they'll have me, I'll be there. But in addition to that, I think that you have to be willing to embrace change. I recall in the 60s when the internet came in and my son went with me. He was the only one there, a young person. And he understood what it was. And I trusted him, and we had the first web page because of that. So sometimes, and we're going through AI now, which
Yes.
is similar in a way. So not only embrace change, but when you see an opportunity, be the change.
Very well put. And as you look back now at this amazing career as a mother to 2 successful children, what would you like your legacy to be, Beth?
I feel that they are my legacy. And beyond that, at this point in time, I was so honored to get a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Houston Business Journal. I also got one from KHOU in Luxury Real Estate, which is an international organization. And so I feel like having the opportunity to mentor and to help younger people, whether it be in the industry or in community service.
Yes.
And I would like, I guess, that people know that I did the best I could.
Yes, and that you've been an example to so many in a very competitive industry that is always evolving. And Houston has seen a lot of change. everywhere we look, it seems there are new apartments, people wanting to move into the city. What are you seeing? What do you think is on the horizon for this great city as it relates to real estate?
I think that Houston will continue to develop. We're so creative, and we have different issues than other cities being unzoned. And I had the opportunity to serve on the Planning Commission under both Bill White and Anise Parker. And it is, again, something that is evolving, but it's so important for people to be aware of what's going on. The vision for the future, the people in the past had that vision. They used to call it can-do cowboy capitalism.
Okay.
And so I keep that in mind always. So it's the idea of continuing. We have a lot of issues we have to address. They say today that only 40% of the people in Houston can afford a home based on the current interest rates. However, as you probably know, the interest rates have been a lot higher than 7%.
Absolutely.
I actually sold homes when they were 18%. So again, it's just accepting where you are. Maybe you can buy less home, but there's opportunity still there. And if you're a teacher, if you're into a doctor, certain things, there are incentives for you to purchase homes. They appreciate that you're, getting started, as well as first-time home buyers.
Correct. Well, there's a lot of learning to be done and a lot of information out there. So thank you again, Beth, for joining us today. Congratulations on being named a Houston legend and for serving as an inspiration to so many people, not just in Houston, but across the country. We thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we'll see you very soon. Thanks for joining us.
Gosh, what a great organization. What great leadership from Dr. Murillo. You always want to go where the future is, and this is where the future is. And when you look at this people, the quality of the production, everything about this organization and the leadership, this is what you want to be a part of.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading regional advocate for the economic and civic interests of the Hispanic business community. Our 3 legislative priorities include DACA, NAFTA, and census. Collectively, the economic impact of these 3 legislative priorities is $24.8 billion in the greater Houston region. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce announced a wide-ranging partnership with the City of Houston ahead of the pivotal 2020 U.S. Census to increase engagement and broaden awareness. We have utilized our media platform, which includes CBS, Intercom, Univision, KHOU 11, and the KHOU to disseminate facts and figures. Additionally, the national media has taken notice of our chamber and has featured us on Bloomberg, CNN, The Washington Post, NPR, Money Week, to name a few, in an effort to educate and emphasize our role as the leader of Houston's new majority. We prepared op-eds, wrote white papers, held press conferences, presented on local and national panels.
NAFTA, as you know, your chamber once again has taken the lead. The numbers don't lie.
This is about jobs, economic impact. We know that a trade between the U.S. and Mexico is over $180 billion as it relates to Texas.
We celebrate the fact that the United States Supreme Court has thrown out that census question that was, are you a U.S. citizen?
It was also a banner year for the Chamber's annual initiatives, groundbreaking and data-focused Hispanic Impact Summits, the Women's Leadership Conference and Business Expo, Health, Innovation, and Technology Summit, our annual Luncheon and Business Expo, the largest in Houston, as well as our elected officials reception, annual awards gala. We graduated emerging leaders. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce remains mission-focused.
And as go Hispanics, so goes Houston.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading regional advocate for the economic and civic interest of the Hispanic business community, the leader of Houston's new majority.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading advocate for Hispanic business in our region. In Houston, we represent over $54 billion per year in consumer spending. Our thanks to our volunteers, sponsors, board of directors, and staff as we work to advocate for business and for a stronger economy. Learn more by visiting the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce website, HoustonHispanicChamber.com. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We are so excited to have this phenomenal entrepreneur, philanthropist, and leader on our program. Her name is Doreen Dominguez. Her company is Veneer. They are members, and we're excited to have her here. Doreen, thank you so very much.
Dr. Murillo, thank you for having me. I'm so excited about my participation with the Chamber and with your leadership, of course.
We appreciate that. And I know that your company is celebrating a huge milestone with you at the helm. Tell us about that.
Yes, so 60 years, indeed, a milestone, especially with when you think about 36% of businesses don't make it to their 10th anniversary. So my father started out of a duplex in 1964. I think many of your members can identify with humble beginnings as they started their own businesses, in particular Latino businesses and entrepreneurs. And we start at a need to take care of our families. And so that's what makes us so great in terms of our entrepreneurship, our dedication of hard work, and how we excel in helping others.
Yes, and you all have done that. I know you have a great interest in this city in particular. And as a woman, as an entrepreneur in a space that is male dominated. And so you have successfully navigated those waters. And I know you have a lot of advice for entrepreneurs. Give us one nugget of that advice.
I think that you should always lead with your passion. In other words, if you follow your passion and you know what you want to do in terms of changing that community or providing a craft of quality and excellence, you don't have to work a day of your life because you're doing what you want to do.
Well, thank you for that. Now, speaking of, part of your legacy, I believe, is making sure that you've been philanthropic. Tell us some of the ways that you personally and your company have done that.
One of the core values is giving back, and for my father's legacy, I started a 501(c) called the Dominguez Dream. We focus on STEAM and literacy, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. In addition, we provide, and this is to help underserved students in the 3rd, 4th, 5th graders to excel and be exposed to engineering, art, math, science, and it's been a great and successful program. In addition to that, we also provide internships for underserved students in the high school level as well as college level. And this is important because many times companies say we can't find them. There's no qualified candidates. Well, as leaders, we have a responsibility to grow our own and to identify those diamonds in the rough and those talents.
And you've done so. And of course, for entrepreneurs, especially in your business, the connection, the opportunity to do business with some of these large corporations is challenging, but you've been successful at it. Tell us a little bit about some of the major corporations that Veneer is partnering with.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to tell you, Dr. Murillo, is that 95% of our work is prime work. So we don't really partner with many of the larger firms. We actually have them as our sub or in some joint venture partnerships. But primarily, 95% of our work, we're leading the charge, and we have sub-consultants, and we're very committed to diversity in terms of our sub-consultants.
So what advice do you have to people who are trying to be sub-consultants? What are some of the things that you have found in all your experience that would be helpful for someone who wants to be a sub?
Yes, well, I would certainly say, go to the exchange programs. I know the Chamber has a lot of meet and greets, subs meeting the primes. I think also to identify what your craft is and make sure you're the best at it. So that when that prime is looking at identifying a sub to fill that position, that you have the qualifications to fulfill that niche and be uniquely positioned to do that. I wouldn't just rely on your minority women, minority business enterprise certification, even though that is so important. so important, but also your craft is just equally as important as that designation.
Yes, it is. And one other question, and certainly very impressive, has been your role as a minority owner of a franchise. Tell us about that sporting industry and what that has meant to you personally.
Certainly. So I'm the first Latina to own a basketball team. I'm a governor of the NBA Sacramento Kings, and I'm very proud to hold that title. But, it's important to me that I'm not the only one, that there are others that minority Latinos and Latinas be owners in the NFL and the NBA. Very important that we diversify that, because guess what? Guess who's buying the tickets? It's our community. And if we're buying the tickets and if we're that market, we need to be at the top of the helm as well.
Yes, well, Doreen, you have led the way in so many areas, and you have been blessed and have done great things through your philanthropic efforts and hiring so many employees and helping our economy. We are so proud of you here in Houston at this chamber, and we are at your service. All the best, Doreen.
Thank you so much.
Gosh, what a great organization. What great leadership from Dr. Murillo. You always want to go where the future is, and this is where the future is. And when you look at this people, the quality of the production, everything about this organization and the leadership, this is what you want to be a part of.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading regional advocate for the economic and civic interests of the Hispanic business community. Our three legislative priorities include DACA, NAFTA, and census. Collectively, the economic impact of these three legislative priorities is $24.8 billion in the greater Houston region. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce announced a wide-ranging partnership with the City of Houston ahead of the pivotal 2020 U.S. Census to increase engagement and broaden awareness. We have utilized our media platform, which includes CBS, Intercom, Univision, KHOU 11, and the KHOU to disseminate facts and figures. Additionally, the national media has taken notice of our chamber and has featured us on Bloomberg, CNN, The Washington Post, NPR, Money Week, to name a few, in an effort to educate and emphasize our role as the leader of Houston's new majority. We prepared op-eds, wrote white papers, held press conferences, presented on local and national panels.
NAFTA, as you know, your chamber once again has taken the lead. The numbers don't lie.
This is about jobs, economic impact. We know that a trade between the U.S. and Mexico is over $180 billion as it relates to Texas.
We celebrate the fact that the United States Supreme Court has thrown out that census question that was, are you a U.S. citizen?
It was also a banner year for the Chamber's annual initiatives, groundbreaking and data-focused Hispanic Impact Summits, the Women's Leadership Conference and Business Expo, Health, Innovation, and Technology Summit, our annual Luncheon and Business Expo, the largest in Houston, as well as our elected officials reception, annual awards gala. We graduated emerging leaders. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce remains mission-focused.
And as go Hispanics, so goes Houston.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading regional advocate for the economic and civic interest of the Hispanic business community, the leader of Houston's new majority.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading advocate for Hispanic business in our region. In Houston, we represent over $54 billion per year in consumer spending. Our thanks to our volunteers, sponsors, board of directors, and staff as we work to advocate for business and for a stronger economy. Learn more by visiting the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce website, HoustonHispanicChamber.com. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got a phenomenal guest. We've worked with him for many years in a variety of capacities. Specifically today, he's going to talk to you about his new business that's here to support entrepreneurs. Timothy, thank you so much for have you here today.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, I've worked with you for many years when I was the director of the Small Business Administration. Now I've retired from that, and I've got a little company called Competitive Edge. And what we do is provide workshops for small businesses that help you work on your business so you can work less in your business. A full range of things from funding strategies to growth strategies to leadership development. So already I'm doing a little bit of work in that. I picked up a few clients and we're pretty busy with it, but always looking for the ability to do more.
So, in your experience, what are some of the things that business owners should particularly be aware of to grow their business?
I think there are two key things. There's probably a lot more, but there are two key things. First, if you have a plan to grow, you're going to need to pay for that growth somehow. So what's the best way to fund your growth? You might think, well, I've got some money in the bank, I should use that. Actually, that may be the worst decision. It often makes more sense to use the bank's money because then you can take a little more time to pay that back. Once you've used your cash, it's gone. So funding strategies for growth, I think, is a really important thing. The second thing, believe it or not, is how to grow. Many entrepreneurs, they're very good at what they do. You know, Joe makes a great barbecue sauce. He understands how to do that. But at a certain point, that growth is going to plateau. So now how do you take the organic abilities that Joe has got in his company, and how do you expand that into maybe some other market segments or some other products that could allow Joe to grow quicker and more reliably?
So, one of the things that I know is a big topic of conversation, whether it's at Joe's barbecue place or at the executive level, hard time recruiting and retaining employees. I think
Exactly.
COVID has changed a lot. Remote working has changed a lot. What would you say to entrepreneurs who are struggling to find talent and retain them?
I think it's really important to remember that even though we all need money, most of us don't work only for money. So while it's important that you pay a competitive wage, it's perhaps more important that you provide an environment that your employees thrive in. So that differs by the business. In some cases, it could be that you allow them to work remotely from your office. In other cases, it could be something as simple as you reimburse tuition. It could be that you provide them opportunities for certification training that they maybe wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So there are a lot of creative ways, not only to attract them by offering some of these extra benefits, but then by helping them with those benefits while they're with you. And I tell you, after somebody's worked for you for a year, if in that time they got more from you than just a paycheck, then you're probably going to have a pretty loyal employee that's going to want to hang around for a while longer.
So, before we wrap up, anything that you'd like to share with entrepreneurs?
I think that 2024 is going to be a really stable year. 2023 was a roller coaster of sorts. But 2023, while it might not grow at the pace we saw in 2023, it's going to be a lot more stable, I think. And it's an outstanding time if you have an existing business to look closely at growing it, because you shouldn't have a lot of crazy things to contend with, like you did last year. And if you're thinking of starting a business in 2024, the good news is this stability is going to make bankers more interested in doing small business loans.
There you have it. Joining us, Tim Jeffcoat, of course, has lots of solutions. So if you're an entrepreneur, you have a business, we encourage you to visit him and learn more. And of course, join us on Chamber webinars. Visit our website. We have a lot of information and people who can help you with your business. So thank you again for joining us and all the best in your new venture.
Thank you very much for having me. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading advocate for Hispanic business in our region. In Houston, we represent over $54 billion per year in consumer spending. Our thanks to our volunteers, sponsors, board of directors, and staff as we work to advocate for business and for a stronger economy. Learn more by visiting thehoustonhispanic.com. Chamber of Commerce website, HoustonHispanicChamber.com.